Hey, welcome back to another episode of Mind the Mic. Here with a lovely lady from all over the world, really.
Mm.
Venezuela, where else? The UK
East
and
London, babes. East
oh,
London.
East. There you go,
Come
East
on.
London.
Coming up.
But now residing in the Down Under, Melbourne
Mm.
City. Huh?
So I'm really into prepping. What I'd like to talk about today is prepping. I've been a prepper for about 8 years, probably, just after I had my first son. And the reason I got into it is because I actually went on holiday to Mexico, and after 24 hours, I got told that I had to go into a hurricane shelter.
Mm.
And they said we'd only be there for 24 hours. And 6 days later, we were rescued by the British Army and the British Embassy. And when I tell you it was a whole event of things that happened in there, it was a whole thing. But I came out, I came out of that with a lot of lessons learned. And it really kind of propelled me into this way of thinking of, I don't ever want to be in the position where I'm not able to heat my baby's milk up or cook some food, you know?
Okay.
So this is what led me down to this road. And because obviously the world's gone absolutely bananas lately. Like yesterday, just in Victoria alone, we had storms that were so bad. There's over 5,000 people who are still without electricity today, you know? So
Far out.
I feel like people need to know the bare minimum. Like it's all right if you're a single person by yourself, you know what? I guess you'll manage.
Mm.
But for anybody who's living with children, especially, it's like you need to have the bare minimum. So I just wanted to have a chat today about what the bare minimum looks like, and then what
Yep.
the extreme looks like. Because I'm probably a bit more extreme than your average. But
Yeah, the
then I've
extreme.
been like, yeah, I've been researching it for a little while. So I've brought you a few things to have a little look at. But
Yep.
yeah, I just want to have a chat to people about what I feel like they should get to prepare themselves, basically.
So,
Um,
just on that whole Mexico buzz, what were you there for a holiday at the time, or what was the go?
yeah, we went there for a holiday, and we were staying in Cancun.
Yep.
And it was Hurricane Wilma that hit, and it was so bad that when we came out, the whole of Cancun airport had been destroyed, and we had to travel in buses across Mexico to get to the next airport. And we were even told, like when we were boarding, hey, listen, on the journey, you might get pulled over by Mexicans and AK-47s, and they might come up and be asking, just hand it all over. We were like,
Yep.
yeah, cool, sweet, we'll do that. But like it was like a convention center, and
Yep.
it tallied up as a hurricane shelter. So there was 1,500 people sleeping on the
Oh,
bottom
damn.
half, and
Yep.
1,500 people. We were all given a sunbed, one sheet, one pillow, and one blanket. I mean, somebody was writing a blog in there, and they wrote me down as the psycho in a toga, because you got to remember, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
aircon. There's no
Yep.
aircon in this place. People are burping and farting and sleeping and eating, and everyone's in their own space. Like it's my idea of hell. And you couldn't wash, and there was water that would come on every morning at about 4 in the morning for about 5 minutes, and we were told don't touch the water because it probably has malaria in it. I did not care. I tell you what, I was at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'd torn my pillowcase up into 8 different pieces. All of a sudden the tap would start going, all of a sudden this water would start coming out, and I'm stark bollock naked. Am I allowed to swear on here?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay. I was stark
Yeah,
bollock
100%.
naked, having a quick wash. And it amazed me that people weren't doing the same thing. But the food was rationed, and the ceiling came in, the lobby came in, and yeah,
Far out.
it was really intense. Two babies nearly died of dysentery in there. Yeah, it was wild, and that's what led me to, you know, if things like that were to happen, like even if you're looking like forget about all the weird things that I feel like government might potentially do to us. Like
Mm-hmm.
if a solar flare was even to happen, it did happen. I feel like I can't remember how many years ago, but I recall somewhere hearing about something of the about it going down in New York for about 4 days. Anarchy,
Oh
anarchy.
yeah, like when
This
I
was
think I was on a cruise ship when it happened in the Caribbean, like in I think that same I can't remember what the cyclone was, but or hurricane it went through the Caribbean and like our ship went through it, And like
Yeah.
I was in, yeah, and then I remember hearing that New York pretty much shut down for like, yeah, like you said, 4 days, and it was
Yeah. And
chaotic.
then,
Like
and it, you know,
2012, I think.
yeah, and especially if you're looking at, you know, you need to get some kind of medical law. God forbid you need to get some kind of medical help. Because can you imagine how stressful a hospital would be if everything was being run on generators and you've got traffic lights that are down, the accidents that are happening, like
Mm,
so. Yeah, I have a whole range of advice that I would give to people, but to me, it just starts off with the bare basics like food and water.
food
Okay,
and water.
you had
Yeah.
NATO literally 3 or 4 weeks ago advising us, and I don't think this is our country, I believe it was America, advising the nation to prepare for 36 hours without electricity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, call me cynical. If they say prepare for 36 hours, I say prepare for 3 months. Because do you remember that thing that happened like a couple of years ago when they said, yeah, it'll just be for 2 weeks? Remember when they said, like,
Yeah.
flatten that curve, it'll just
Yes,
be
I
for
do.
two
Yeah.
weeks?
I do remember that one. Yeah, yeah, I
Remember
remember
that?
that one.
How
Yeah,
long was
yeah, yeah.
that?
Couple
Like
years.
2 years?
I don't know.
So
So I
now,
I went to the shop and I seen a few other people still walking around with a few face cloths on their face. But anyway, yeah,
mate, the diaper, do you? I'm not here to convince them anymore. Like, if you're
yeah,
still on
100%.
that, good luck to
Yeah.
you. But yeah, like, what was I saying? Um, because of those type of announcements that are coming out, on top of the
Mm,
fact that I consider myself already to be a prepper, you
mm-hmm.
know, there's little things like they're already going around any new house that they make, making it so you can't have gas in there. Have you heard about that?
No, I didn't know that. No, no.
Yeah, they don't want gas in the home. Okay, they
So
don't
what's
want
the?
gas kitchens. They want electric kitchens.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
same,
I
they're
mean,
the
it
same
makes
as
sense, but I don't. It makes sense. I
does
mean,
does
it
it
all,
make sense?
all
Because to me, it's just about control. For the same reason they want every car that's made from 2026 to have like a kill switch or something. Is that, am I correct?
yeah, yeah. I heard a couple of those things, and obviously trying to
Again,
push
control. Yeah,
electric.
yeah.
Yeah, so it
And
does
I
make sense. I didn't really, I haven't really. I mean, hear a lot of things, but I didn't particularly hear the gas house thing. But it does make sense. You know what I mean?
yeah, it's in, to me, you could call me a conspiracy theorist, or I call it out before it's realist.
Yeah.
Like, because let's be fair, we haven't been that wrong. But
Yeah.
just quietly, you don't need to apologize that you got it wrong. But
That's it.
nobody apologized for it. I've been called a few names in the last couple
Oh
of
yeah,
years,
yeah. Me
and
too.
crazy was one of the nicer ones. So and
Yeah.
I'm okay with being considered crazy. I'm okay with being considered a little bit over the top with that, because you know what? I would rather be prepared there and be in a situation where I've got enough things around me or in certain places that I can do some serious good quality camping while I'm 50 years old, you know, because
Yeah.
I've got all the stuff. I don't like camping, by the way.
No, you
That
don't
does
like
it
it? Why?
does not
Well,
appeal to me at
okay.
all. Why? There's so
Hmm.
many reasons. I'm not a camper.
Okay, give me some.
But do it. All right, but do I have everything to camp with? Yeah. I've gone out and bought myself at least 3 or 4 tents. I've got mattresses. I've got solar panel showers. I've bought cast iron equipment because, all right, say electricity goes out. My Teflon pans aren't going to last 3 minutes out on a fire 2, 3 days later, and you shouldn't be using Teflon anyway. But you know, having all to me, it was really important to have a kettle. You know, like a proper teapot that you can. Because
Like
all
a
right,
proper English
yeah,
lady.
yeah, because I tell you what, if the world is falling apart, can we not still be civil and have a cup of tea in the morning? Like, to me, because you know what it's about. It's all well and good being prepared, but I feel like your mental health is just as important as your physical health. If you're in a situation where you're dealing with the bare minimum, which is why, okay, it's important. Have your dried beans and whatnot. But you know what? Having a couple of games of like playing cards and chess,
Mm.
and because you know what? It gets boring. It gets boring in electricity not being out. Like we've got so used to TVs and
Yeah,
scrolling and
we got
stuff.
a lot of luck.
You imagine,
Very
yeah,
fortunate these
yeah.
days. But
I
you're
said
right,
to
it
my
does again.
I
Yeah.
said to my son actually the other week, I said to him, what would you do if the internet went out for 2 weeks? He was like, I'd die. Little bit extreme. But yeah, people, you got to have books. So
There's some sense
I,
of normality, huh? Like,
yeah. And not only that, that's going to be your knowledge. If you're in a situation, say, for example, if there was an ENP, which means that the grid went down,
yes,
okay, it would take at minimum 2 years for them to get it back up and running again.
minimum.
Okay. 2 years. That's a long ass time. Okay. And then they reckon in those 2 years, I mean, first of all, what you would have is that people would be going to the stores and going to the banks, trying to get their money out, or trying to buy stuff in the stores, realizing they can't. Then you would find that people will start looting. Now, I'm pretty sure that the Melbourne Army had been doing like practice runs of like against um, what we call
Civilians.
civilians, sorry, yeah, against civilians and mauler shootings. Like, why are we practicing for that kind of thing? Okay, why are we practicing for that kind of thing? I mean, the last place that I would want to go if everything went to shit and everything was going is outside a supermarket where it would be anarchy. It would be anarchy and everybody running around. It'd be dangerous. I'm sure the army would be out. You know, I would be, and this is why I have a group of friends where we all get together, we discuss these certain things, and we have
Mm-hmm.
a place where we plan on moving to, a place
Oh,
that
that's
would
good.
not be it, yeah, a place that would not be in the city, you know, and
But you're right
it's
though when it comes to all of that. When it comes to the looting and stuff, and as you said about your children, like what would, as you said to your son, what would it be like if the internet went out? And so there's generations worth of people who have never like hunted, nor have their grandparents or anything like that, so they don't know. That, like all they're used to is meat coming in a packet from the supermarket, or all their food coming from there or from
that's
Uber
right,
Eats. So yeah, it
yeah,
would
and
be
we and
crazy
we
for sure.
we were living in times where everything's at a push of a button. Okay, to the fact that you remember growing up in your grandparents' house, there was always a bookshelf. Okay, there was always a bookshelf with loads of books. You don't see that much anymore, which is why I collect books on things like first aid,
Mm-hmm.
on gardening, because you know what? It's all well and good having a bunch of seeds, but knowing when to plant them in which month and what
Yep.
next to what plant to get the biggest yield, you don't want to be wasting your seeds. I wouldn't know that. I instinctively would go to Google to get that kind of information. Looking
Mm.
for books that, the old school books of cooking in war times and rationing times. If you see
Yes.
those, grab those. First aid books for sure. Collecting first aid. You're thinking about the worst situation. Like I think, like, what would I do? How would I produce to myself for 2 years? I wouldn't be in my house. And number one, there's no way I'd be in my house. Like with the house evasions that would be going on, no way. It'd be an absolute sitting duck. And like, am I
Mm.
going to survive by myself as a single mum and bumfuck nowhere in a tent? Absolutely not. But having a community of people, having a village of like-minded people, okay, who have you kind of done drills with it. We've kind of talk about these scenarios. We
Yeah.
visit certain places. We look at the soil and if it would be good for even planting. And like you have to, and you know what? It's one of those things like I hope we're wrong. I really hope we were wrong, and I hope that we never have to do any of these things. And I hope that I just have end up with all this. I'm so annoyed that I've all my nails have come off. I've got one nail left. That's
Oh.
so annoying. Yeah. See, I do like the nicer things in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
wanna. I don't wanna be
Yeah.
doing
Yeah.
none of this. But I tell
But
you
you're
what.
prepared to
Oh
see
yeah.
to all of it if you have to.
Right. So I mean, for example, to me, number one, water. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If the water, because I know it's electronically controlled and whatever, if for whatever reason water gets shut off, and we've seen situations around the world. Look at Flint. Look at their water.
Yeah, Flint, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Hey,
Okay. We're
can
stuck. We don't.
what did Obama say? Can I get a glass of water? This is not a stunt. Can, can
It,
and had to
that would
took
be
the shittiest sip.
it
Mm.
would be a terrifying situation to be in if all of a sudden the water wasn't coming out and you need water. Let's not even talking about washing. Like you need water to cook with, and
Mm,
it's all well
everything.
and good. You've got a couple of bags of dried beans, but those beans are going to need soaking. Those
Yes.
beans are then going to need to be cooked for a long time. So yeah, like there has to be a little bit of a more of a thought process than to, oh, I bought a few cans of beans and I've stuck them in the cupboard. It's
Yeah.
like you've got to be at this point in the game. I feel like you've got to be all in or not. Like so,
So what
I
would you say to people that like, you know, they've just stumbled upon this episode, they hear you talking about
mm,
prepping and all the things you're talking
mm,
about, what's happened in Melbourne, what happened to you in Mexico, all the
mm.
things that could happen. What would you say to them? Like what if
I
they're
would
like, oh, where do I start? What do I do? You know what I
okay.
mean?
So first first of all, I would 100% go and get yourself flashlights. So I've got two little flashlights for my kids because keep it fun, little colourful ones. I then got some proper heavy duty flashlights that are rechargeable with rechargeable batteries and solar paneled. I've got a crank radio. Okay, I've got a crank radio that will play, okay, for sanity. Um, I've got a solar power shower. Obviously, food supplies are really important, but water. Now, it's all well and good going out and getting a few boxes of water, but what happens if you needed that water for 2 years? Could you go down to the river and get it? Okay, cool. How are you making that water safe for you? Okay, so no having to burn it and cook it, which means you're using fuels to do that. Okay, maybe you're saving your gas canisters. So I'll show you a few things. So, for example, I bought this little device which is called a where's the camera?
Oh yeah,
There
there
we
you,
go.
you just gotta go the
Right.
opposite because it's mirrored.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this is
What
called
what
a
do we got there?
Steri pen. Now this is
Yep.
called a Steri pen. I first bought this when I was going to Bali, and it does 8,000 glasses of water in 48 seconds. It's a little machine that you put in and literally kills everything. It's for travel, hike, and preparing. So I'm pretty much sure that you could go down to a river and get some water.
Yep.
Water. I said that like I was an Australian. Water.
You're Aussie now.
Like vitamin water. You get vitamin water. I tell you, and my kids are,
Vitamin.
Mummy, can I have a yogurt? I'm like, you can have a yogurt, mate. I don't know what a yogurt is. Drives me bananas, honestly.
Yeah.
The whole, oh, yeah, it's a rubbish man. It's vitamin water. And yeah, do you guys call it an eggplant out here, don't you?
Yeah. What did you call it?
An aubergine.
Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah. That's
And then
right.
you also say zucchini, we call it courgette.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what's
Mm.
the funniest thing though is when I hear people go, "Oh, can you talk English properly?" Like to when they say that to English people, I'm like, bro, that's where the language comes from,
Oh,
bro.
I never forget. And she knows who she is. I've got a friend of mine actually who, when I
Yeah.
first met her, it was one of those scenarios where we first met and she instantly didn't like me. We're very good friends now. And she was
Hmm.
like, oh, what's that? Is that an English accent? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, well, you're in Australia now, so speak Australian. I was like,
What do you
sweetheart,
mean?
sweetheart, let me school you for a second. But yeah, it's all right. She knows better now. All
Yeah,
right. So
true
this
that.
other thing that I said, this is called a
Yep.
pocket microfilter. Okay, so this device, you can literally, it will do, it will clean 13,000 gallons of water. It has a little bag, you take it down to the river, you fill it up, and it has some pump filter. Here you go. Anyone wants to screenshot that? That's what it looks like.
So what is it?
So
A
that,
pocket? What?
yeah, so it's a pocket microfilter. So this is the pump and it has like a bag inside it and you fill it up by the river and it pumps and it does its thing. I don't know, it's made in Swiss. Oh, it's you can use it in the Swiss Alps. But so it removes microorganisms, reduces chemicals and bad taste, removes particles in effective dirty water and suitable for all conditions. Works in any water condition. That's the kind of thing. Like obviously you can go and get water sanitization tablets, which I would totally say get. I would also say get water straws. You can order them off Temu, and I think they're like $10 each. So be careful your credit card details with that thing. But the Temu water straws, that's a brilliant idea. Actually, but yeah, so number one, water. And
Oh
then
yeah.
second of all, obviously having your food supplies. Right, buy things that you're going to eat. I remember when I first started prepping a couple of years ago, like
Hmm.
heavily into the food section of it, I was going out and buying all sorts of madness in a can. Yeah. And what you obviously have to do is rotate this food. So as the years go by, you use it and you get new stuff in. Mate, I never used the spam. I know some people love spam. I never used the spam. I never used the tinned mushrooms. I never used the tinned artichokes. Like, buy food that you actually already like and use is number one. All right.
You don't like to
If
spare
you,
me? Nah, not a fan.
not a fan, man.
Corned
If you're gonna
beef?
buy, no, not even. I
Nah,
think I'm
no
a bit
corned beef.
traumatized where the grandmother used to make a corned beef hash.
Oh,
Nah,
nah.
drop me out. Drop me
Corned
out.
beef what? Hash.
Hash, yeah. I literally
Was
think it. I think it's just leftovers mashed in a bowl with corned beef. I don't know. I don't even want to know how they
Oh,
make
I thought
it.
you meant like it was like she smoked it or something. Corned beef hash.
Oh yeah, right. They,
Oh,
they were
okay,
doing
okay.
some wild things back there too.
Yeah, who knows?
Um,
Hey, yeah.
yeah. So bags that you can easily go to your Indian grocer and buy bags of lentils and beans, all different types. But don't just buy bags of beans, man. Who wants to eat just beans? Buy yourself curry powders and masala powders. And because you know what, you don't think about these things until all of a sudden you're having to cook it and you're like, okay, we've got a bit of salt and pepper in the cupboard. Like, what do we do now? They do big jars of garlic paste and ginger paste, like, because you're gonna eat it, you want it to be nice, don't you? Just because everything might
Yeah.
be falling apart in the world
Yeah.
around
You
you,
still want
you
a
know.
little bit of
But
flavor, a little bit of flavor.
I'm te- and I tell you what as well, food becomes so important when all these other things go down. I remember when I was in this hurricane shelter,
Oh
and
yeah. How long were you there for, by the way? I was gonna ask
I
as
was
well.
I was in there for 6 days before we got rescued by the British Army and embassy.
6 days. Far out.
Yeah, and it was hectic. It was so hectic in there. The only reason we had to get out because there was black mold. Like the 14 toilets broke down in the girls and the 14 toilets in the men's, and there was water up to people's knees. That's why
You had
people were getting
children with you
sick.
too at the time? Like
Yeah,
you
so I was actually I had my little brother who's now like 19 or 20. He was like 4 at the time. So I definitely didn't have any children at that time.
Oh, true, but he was full. I saw you with your like your
Yeah,
family
yeah,
and then you
it was on a family holiday. I think it was 21. I think it was
Oh
21.
yeah.
So I'm 40
Oh, 21.
in June.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
40. Far out.
I'm 40 June the 6th. If anyone wants to
This
send me a
guy.
birthday present.
Yeah, there
Um
you go.
I'll
Yeah, but
take a bag of dried beans. That'll be worth it.
where do they find you there? Because all they're gonna type in princess and can't find you. Where do they find you?
Yeah, I'm not that stupid. So I'm all right. I'm all right. Just
Carry on.
pray for me. I'm all right with your
Yeah.
prayers. I'm all good with that. I'm good. I'm good. I don't need anybody knowing where I live. I've already had to
Oh no
pay
no
for
no no
lots
no
of my
not
daughter.
that. I mean like freaking like do you have a social media or something or nah?
Oh, so like yeah, so the social media I'll give out here is Prep Princess. There's a page that I just started off because the other one
Yeah.
just gets heavily shadow banned.
Yeah. No worries. I'll just just tell me the at and I'll type it in
Mm,
for the people. How does it go?
Prep
At
Princess.
is it how it's
PREP.
okay?
Prep.
Sorry.
It's
At.
actually in the bottom left-hand side of my screen.
Yeah. Is that how it's written? But like
Yeah, I
what's
think
that?
so.
You know what the at how the at goes or you're not sure?
No. I think no. I'm pretty sure. I mean, if you type in that, I think it will come up. There's a picture
Oh,
of
okay,
me
sweet.
looking moody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You know, like the resting bitch face.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah,
to the resting bitch face. All right,
yeah.
so
It's
talking
the
about
South American
Mexico.
in me. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's it.
um, yeah. So, first of all, get your water supplies up. You can go into Aldi and they do like this massive box carton thing, which is about $4.49 of water. Get yourself like 10 of those bad boys. Stick them in your house. Get yourself some water sanitization tablets. Get yourself some water straws. Get yourself some kind of device. Okay, even if you could go down to a river and collect water, do you have a device in which do you have a can? Like, I'm somebody that just has a bucket in my house. So when I'm changing the aquarium, I don't have a device that I can go down to the river. Like, get yourself something that you could actually collect water if that's what you plan on doing. If you plan on sterilizing your water by heating it up, how are you heating it up? Do you have enough fuel to do that? So, for example, here's one I made earlier. 1 minute, I'll be back. Get yourself one of these. All right. So these cost, actually, I can't remember how much these cost. Ouch. These cost, I'm going to say like 60, $70. All right. All right. Ah! We see what that is?
Oh, let's go. Hey.
So it comes in its own little container. You can go and buy the gas for it. Even in like little Asian shops, you can get 4 cans of gas for about $8. And
Yeah.
I used to work with this lady who used to have a cafe.
Yeah.
And she used to run the whole cafe. It was just soup and sandwich cafe. She ran the whole cafe on just 2 of those hobs.
Two of
So
those
it's
little
like two,
burners.
so it had 4 burners in it, and that's all that she had. And whenever she'd
Yeah.
run out, she just sent me around the shop to go and buy another couple of cans of gas. But
Oh, there you go.
you would be absolutely laughing if you've got a few canister of gas, you've got a gas hob. Like, and remember, this is an investment. You can use these kind of things when you're going camping. You
Yeah,
know, there's not,
and
there's no
if
love
you're my
lost.
cousins, if you're my
Mm.
cousins out there, you can also use them for your weed.
And that,
Chuck the
and
hot
that,
knives on there, baby. Let's go.
right.
That's it.
Yeah, so doing water, having food, having flashlights. But to me, like, solar panel battery. So I got this thing that will, and I got it from cash converters, where
Yeah,
you
shout
literally
out to
put this
Cashies.
panel out. Yeah. You're so funny. Affiliated, sponsored by cash converters.
That's
You
it.
actually
You never know.
put this thing out into the sun, and it will charge your it will charge the battery so you can recharge things. Now, if you want to get into the nitty gritty a bit, of course, if there was an EMP, you would have to have, is it called EMF or EMP? I'm sure it's EMP. But you would have to have some kind of clock. Is it called a Faraway clock, which stops the you know when
Those
everything
radio
would
signals coming through.
yeah, so if there was an EMP and it fried everything electrical, the only thing
Yes,
is
indeed.
anything electrical you then have wouldn't work anyway unless it was wrapped in a Faraway. I'm sure it's called Faraway clock. Okay,
Yeah, I
which is
don't
why
know what
you
it's
can
called, but I
buy,
think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's called that, which is why you can also buy generators that come in their own Faraway
Yeah.
bag.
Let's
Okay.
go.
So, I mean, if you want to, I mean, if you were smart, if I had the money, I would buy a generator. I would buy a solar power generator.
Yeah,
Okay. 100%. Yeah,
that's it.
100%. I mean, they're a lot of money for a good reason, but yeah, food, water, and then first aid. Have enough first aid. Have enough antibiotics. You know that the doctors love to give out antibiotics. Go to the doctors. Tell them you've got something going on. They'll throw antibiotics at you. Don't take them. Collect them. I collect
100%.
antibiotics. Yeah,
Just
they love
cough,
to give them
couple
out.
coughs. You'll be
Yeah,
right.
get familiar on how you would treat certain ailments in the body, especially and so many of us just go straight to go Google. And if you couldn't do that anymore, it's like how are you protecting yourself? So yeah, I mean, have conversations with your friends, your neighbors. Like if something went down and you couldn't pick up your phone and be to your best friend, are you okay? Like the electricity's been up for 2, 3 days. Like you wouldn't be able to do that. So have those conversations before you need them. Have those
Hmm.
conversations before you need them. Also, if you plan to go to somebody else's house, and this is if your car is working, this is if the system hasn't been fried.
Yeah, yep,
Say you wanted
yep.
to bike there, get your mailways, get familiar with a map, get reading a map, get it printed out, the destination of to your friend's house of how you want to get there, have it laminated. What happens if there's a storm? You know, it all seems like it's a bit like a rabbit hole. Once you go in there, you're like, well, and then you've got to do this, and you've got to do that, and you've got to do
Yeah.
this. But to me, the world that we're living in at the moment doesn't feel very safe. It doesn't
Mm.
feel very safe, and it just feels like just to me, it feels like the government are just taking more and more control.
Okay.
Okay, like there's more control when you're going into the supermarkets now. From
I definitely agree with you.
have you seen the little like you're being filmed to make sure you're not stealing stuff, which I understand. Then you've got those barriers, okay, that stop you from getting out the supermarket. And my friend went to the supermarket just the other day, and she said that she'd paid for her stuff and her trolley wouldn't move. And she's like to the lady, like, what's going on? And the lady had a remote control or something hanging around her neck, pressed the button, and it released something on the trolley so that she could move her trolley out.
True. On the trolley.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
the hell?
Yeah, I find it really concerning that all of a sudden, that everything's becoming so many banks and so many shops are trying to make it so that there's no human there for you to interact with, that it's
Hmm.
just like computer. So when shit hits the fan, you ain't going to be able to deal with humans. You're literally going to have, you know, computers or thingies, or just not being able to get the information that you need. So
Yeah,
yeah, to me,
everything's
it's all
automated,
of,
eh?
yeah,
Even
to me,
because we was Melbourne like the first place, not even in the world, but in Australia to have those robots like delivering stuff in restaurants. We use one of the first.
oh, I wasn't it like Japan or somewhere?
Oh yeah, I guess besides there, like I mean,
Oh, you mean, yeah, I mean, I
yeah,
wouldn't be
English speaking.
surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
they love all that. They love all that crap over here. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Like,
Mm.
yeah, that concerns me. Like, I'm somebody that when I go to the supermarket, I don't go to self-checkout on purpose. Like, I want to deal with a real human. You know, how many
Yeah,
times do you
I'd
go to
rather
those
too.
self-checkouts and they don't work anyway? And you're like, excuse me, try some
Yeah, just
bananas.
keep bloody telling the person to come over here, come over
I'd,
here.
I'd rather them
Yeah,
stand next to me and just do it for me. Like, no.
yeah,
But yeah, so, flashlights are a number one because you know what? You don't want to be, especially if you have kids, you don't want to be sitting in darkness. So candles,
yep.
flashlights, even if you had tea light candles, if you had a muffin pan, do you know the muffin man could have it?
Oh
And you
yeah.
put the tea
Where
light
does he live?
he lives down Drury Lane. If you put four tea light candles in a muffin pan and then put like a little the thing that would, God, I'm terrible at talking, aren't I? The thing that would rest bread on if it was hot, like a grill on top. You could heat a saucepan up from those four tea lights. You don't really want to be doing that. Like if you had yourself a little gas stove and you've got gas, you'd be winning. You'd be so happy with yourself. If the electricity went down, or you were one of those people, one of the 5,000 people that were allowed without electricity in the last 24 hours, everything went down and you went, here, kids, here's a flashlight, and they're running around the house having fun. You've got your solar lights that you've saved from Christmas, you've hung them up in the house. It's all of a sudden got a little bit merry. You've got your crank radio going, you're still listening to music, you've got candles, and you're eating food and you're making beans and toast and having a cup of tea. You'd be
Laughing.
laughing, mate. You'd be
That's it.
laughing. Yeah, and
100%.
to
Sounds
me,
good. It sounds like a
it's
party.
all of it. Yeah, to me, it's all about like even if it does shit hits the fan, I want to have a cup of tea in my hand. That's all. Well, I feel like we know it's happening anyway.
Yeah, have a cup of
Everything's
tea while the
getting
world burns down. Why not?
absolutely. Yeah,
Okay, no.
absolutely.
Like if you could go
So
back to
yeah.
Mexico and they, what one thing would you take back there? Would you just be a cup of tea, a
Oh,
nice? No,
yeah,
but
yeah. A cup of tea. To be honest, he wouldn't go. No, I wouldn't go.
no, but if you could go back there and you could change anything about that situation, what would you change besides like
Oh
obviously being
God,
saved earlier or whatever? Like,
no. You know what it is? It's not even the situation. The most harrowing thing that I came to learn is how selfish people become in
oh yeah,
a life or death situation. Now, you'd think in a situation like so there was one person that was able to get in contact with somebody whose daughter worked for the government back at home, and he had some kind of phone that had a big aerial on it. I don't know what type of phone that was. Who was able to contact them and tell them we were in there. But other than that, we didn't have much contact with the outside world. And each day there would be an announcement that the food, not to take too much food, and the food was getting a little bit scarce. You tell people that, it just makes them take more. But
mm,
when it got to a situation where there was black mold growing on the carpet and two babies had been rushed out because they had dysentery, and the decision just had to be made that though it was dangerous to leave, they were going to die if they stayed in there. Um, People don't start gathering around being like, okay, brothers, sisters, like this is the situation. We
mm-hmm.
need to make decisions. Let's all start sharing up. No, no, no. People start growing little groups and tribes. So you had like a group of five dads over there talking and group of five dads over there talking, and people don't come together.
Mm.
Unfortunately, that it's that's kind of how it went down. But if I could change anything, is be with people who had better hearts in there. But
Okay,
reality is, people are selfish, and
yeah,
for the same reason where and people are selfish and people just want to be looked after and they want to be told what to do. I'd want to be around more free thinkers, critical
mm.
thinkers. So I'd ask people like the reason I want to do this kind of thing is because when I've suggested to people of things that I have, people are just like, oh well, when shit goes down, Christina, we'll just go to your house, and I'm like, not funny. Because if I'm looking after my kids and you turn up on my doorstep, sorry, that's not an option for me. Like I'm
Yeah,
not here
hundred
to be
percent.
looking after you're taking food out of my baby's
Out of my
mouth. It's not
babies.
an option.
Yeah.
That's not an option for me. But what is
Unless you're bringing food and some skills that I don't
okay,
have.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is why we've had the conversations that I have with my group of people. We actually go. The name of our group is called Risers.
Yeah, the rises.
Yeah, Risers, Rise and Shine. And the reason that we had that group is because I want to be around like-minded people that if we realize that shit's gone down and we have things, I mean, we're that little bit crazy that we have stuff planted, like it's kind of not like a bug up bag, but supplies that are underground and not in a massive, like crazy way, but it takes nothing to go and put a little storage container of stuff, okay, of emergencies, especially if you're not going to be able to use a car to be able to get out somewhere. What happens if
Yep.
it's all gridlocked? What happens if all the traffic lights aren't working? What happens if everyone's gone bananas in the street? What happens if there's so if you're thinking like that and you've got a few supplies there and you've got some few supplies there, like to me, if you've got a group of people and everybody's just contributed $50 into this, and you got a few containers and you put some real essentials into it, you're going to be laughing. If not, you can dig that up in 10 years' time with each other and have a good old camp out
Or
together and
like that.
laugh
Oh,
and
so it's sort of like those movies when they're like little teenage girls go and bury their little love
do.
notes and that, but just
Right.
stuff that'll actually keep you alive.
Survival stuff, yeah. And
Mm.
if you don't end up using it, you can laugh about it in 20 years'
Yeah.
time. I really just don't feel like it's that much of a risk to take. But what I do think is the big risk is
Mm-hmm.
sitting in your house, relying on the fact that you'll always be able to get food from the supermarket. Like for the fact that you've got Gates that owns so much farmland at the moment, I find that really concerning. And if stuff happens where truckers aren't able to get in anymore, everything stops. Everything stops. I mean, and why are they going around tearing up people's gardens at the moment? You know, you've got to ask permission to fish, permission to collect rainwater, permission to do this. Like, why? You don't want houses that have gas in them anymore. Why? Like, have a bit of
I was having a
discernment,
chat to one of
people.
my brothers yesterday about um, just about how when we were growing up as kids, and there was always, I don't know if it was the same for you in the UK, but like growing up back in New Zealand, there was always fruit everywhere, like growing everywhere there was fruits. But now you go everywhere, there's none. Like it's just been smoked. You know what I mean? Like they just
I
push
think
you. Like you talk about that control, they how they just push you towards consumerism, towards supermarkets. Like there's
right.
no communal gardens anymore. Like you know what I mean in
There's a
communities.
few in St Kilda, but I think you have
Well,
to
that's
pay to
good,
have
but like,
them.
oh yeah, you wanna, but like, well, there you go. Well, at least she's got some because we ain't got none here. And
Well, I recently went to Bali. I went over there to do like a juice cleanse stuff and stayed up in Ubud. And I was saying to my friend, I was like, it's just mad. Like you go around everywhere and there's avocado trees and mango trees and like loads of fruit. So much so that the elderly there and the native people are picking them and selling them on the street and making money. Like, and thank goodness that they can. But yeah, I just find it a little bit alarming that it just to me, it just feels like the fact that don't even get me started with these 15-minute cities. Like the fact that they want to put you in positions where you're going to have everything and they can switch everything off, and it doesn't sit right with me. And I'm a sovereign being at the end of the day, and I like just being able to provide for myself, even if the supermarket was shut. Now, if you really want to get into it, of course, that means you're going to have to start doing things like learning how to use a bow and arrow, learning how to gut something, learning how to skin something, learning how to start a fire. I mean, get firelighters for starters. Learn how to make fires. Like go
mm,
out with your kids, or go out with a like-minded group of people and be like, all right, let's just do things. Could we make a hut? If we've got the bare minimum, do we know how to start a fire? Like, what does it take? And it's all muscle memory at the end of the day. But
what would you say to
you
people
know,
that don't like say they never did boys or girl scouts or like
I
obviously I was
never did
fortunate I
that.
grew up
I
no
never
but
did
what would
any
you
of that.
say to them how do they reach out to like how can they reach out to communities like this or be a try and like if they want to make themselves useful but they have no skills and any survival skills how do they learn
So
I guess
for the same reason that I've started a group there's only about 10 of us. There's actually probably more, but 10 that are actually that I always see. You know, we're looking at things like we're going on a canning course in about 3 weeks where there's a lady, it's a 3 hour course, and she's going to teach us how to can food. Now, if you have a pressure cookers, like a canning cooker, it's just like a big like tin thing. Um, doesn't cost very much money, but there is an art to knowing how to do it. And because it requires scalding water and whatnot, I want to be taught by a professional, because the last thing I need is to start practicing that when I'm not able to get myself to a hospital and I've got like things that I've got to treat because I burnt myself. But you know, getting groups of people, go and do archery classes. Go and find somebody who is like an off-grid scout of some sort, or an aboriginal tutor of some sort that will teach you. Get a group of 6 or 10 of you together and find somebody that's going to teach you survival stuff.
I think
It's
that's a
not
good
that
point you
hard.
made. I think that's a good point you made about Aboriginal being in Australia, especially if you're in Australia listening, like
100%.
reaching out to the people of the land, especially the ones that understand, like who know how to survive on these lands. Like they've done it for 60,000 years. So
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
like they'd be the
let's
ones to
be
reach out to
fair.
for sure.
There is a lot of people in this world. The world that I'm talking about, oh, this happened, this happened. There are plenty of people that actually live in that type of world that don't have running water and don't have electricity. But you know what? They have knowledge from their
Hmm.
culture and their grandmothers.
Yeah, 100%.
Nobody's teaching us this stuff anymore. And
Nah,
what's
hell no.
more, if we want to know how to boil an egg, we're going on to Google to know how to do it. You know, so, I mean,
That's
it's
like
so.
one of the most googled things too, eh? Like how to boil
Is
an egg when
it?
it comes to
Oh,
food.
stop it. Is it
Yeah, hundred
really?
percent. When it comes to like
Bloody
food, I think
hell.
it's pretty up there.
Oh no, we're doomed. Fuck it. We're all doomed anyway. Forget it. Do you know what?
It's like how to boil
Everybody
an
just
egg and how to make a cup of
no,
tea. No, no, just
no, stop it. Oh, well, you know what? And half of me sometimes think, oh, you know what? We're all doomed. We're all doomed. And you know what? Just have a couple. You're thinking that you've got a couple of extra tins of beans in there. Yeah, you'll be fine, mate. You'll be all right, mate. And then the other half of me goes, no, no, no. I do feel like maybe if this kind of thing comes upon us, it would be good. I tell you what, could you imagine if electricity did go down for 2 years? Could you imagine how appreciative we would be as a
as a
human race?
society. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
as a society, when we came back on, how we wouldn't be looking to, we'd know how to cook and clean in a more sustainable way. We
Mm,
would be probably more loving to our neighbors, and we'd have much more of a village around us. So
yep.
to me, I'm like, I don't kind of mind it going a little bit petong for a little while, because I think people
Mm.
have just got far too used to just buying things, throwing them away, using the earth up. Maybe it's a bit of our karma as a human race to have to suffer a little bit. Maybe so. But I think at the outcome, I do feel like that we'll be fine, but I want to be prepared for that. That's all.
So when
I
do
want to
you
have my cup of
when
tea.
yeah, yeah, 100%. When do you think
Yeah.
if you had to hazard a guess, when do you think this will all happen? If it is to
Hold on.
happen
It
soon.
already started, dude. There's over
No, but when do you
5,000
think like
people.
the power grid goes down? Like when do you think if you had to just
How long?
take a stab?
You know what I can't tell you because that leads on to a few. I've been told a couple of crazy things. I've been told a couple of crazy things by a few shamans in the last 10 years, which is probably another
Oh
reason why I
yeah.
jumped on this. Yeah. But I'm not about to,
Or we can open that can of worms if you want another day,
maybe,
for sure.
yeah, maybe.
Because
But
like while the power's still going, you're keen to come back and share some more stuff about different
yeah,
things
why
you're
not?
learning and that. All right, for
Yeah,
sure.
let's do it.
Anything
Let's do
else you want to
it.
say
Yeah.
before we peace out of this episode?
No, you know what? But learn how to go cook an egg, maybe people. Just to start, learn how to cook an egg, boil an egg. Like,
Can you
yeah.
teach
And
them?
you know, uh, nah, nah. But you know what? It's not about, you don't even have to go too crazy. But you know what? Spending an extra $20 a week just on extra things, and make sure maybe half of that's on water supplies and half of that is on food supplies.
Yeah.
And then like on the end week, make sure that it's to do with fuel of some way.
Yeah.
then you're gonna creep towards it. But I
Okay.
can't afford to prep and to save for things, but I actually can't afford to do it either. So it's just one of those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can't afford not
Hmm.
to, and can't you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
Either. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. But yeah, we can talk about all the spooky stuff another
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah. No, no. We'll do this more often. Like even
Yeah.
you know,
And
you
I'm also
find a
and I'm
time
not
every week
opposed
or so.
uh, sorry,
If you can.
sorry.
Okay, carry on.
And I'm not opposed to anybody if they do live in Melbourne, and they want to get involved with our group.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to people approaching me and saying
No
like,
weirdos though. No weirdos. Hey.
no, please no weirdos. But I've been
Get
fair
out,
share of
weirdos.
those. Yeah, no
Yeah.
weirdos.
All
Yeah,
right
but
then.
people
Anyway,
who are, yeah, people who are genuine and really want to get involved, yeah, we wouldn't mind.
hit her up, man. Prep Princess. There's her
Mm.
at there at prep underscore princess. I found it. Put it
Oh,
there.
you
So
did.
yeah, thank you so much, Prep Princess, for your
No
time
worries.
and your energy and knowledge. I look forward to doing more of these and learning myself, and hopefully some other people take some stuff from it. Big love to everybody that did watch.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
you
me.
all. Much
Mm.
love. Thank you so much for watching this full episode of Mind the Mic. It takes a lot of time, energy, and effort to create these episodes. So to know that you've watched and listened to the entire thing means the world to myself and all our hosts. If you could, before you leave, please hit the subscribe button and share this episode out to as many people as possible. It would help us so much. Thank you again to everybody that's still here, still watching. Thank you for all your comments, all your shares, all the DMs. Appreciate you all. Make sure you follow us on every platform. Have an awesome morning. Have an awesome night, depending on where you are in the world. Mind the mic out.
Oi, have you hit the link in bio yet?
Watch full episodes on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all streaming platforms.
Do it.